Both of today's picks are part of the polarizing found footage subgenre of horror. Many are sick of the shaky cam first-person POV mode of horror storytelling, but it still proves to be an effective tool at instilling scares, jolts, and shudders, at least for me. Take the excellent The Medium, a mockumentary, or as I call it, shockumentary, done in a documentary-style format that does what all good documentaries do. It peels back the onion to reveal one surprise after the next. Reminiscent of Lake Mungo, The Medium is the best found footage film of the year. This is M.L. Miller Frights Best in Horror Countdown 2021 through 2022. Counting down the best in horror films released from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. According to me, M.L. Miller. Here we go. Number 4. The Medium was released on October 14th, 2021. It's streaming on Shudder. It's directed by Banjong Pisanthanakun and written by Choi, Chantavit, Dhanasevi, and Hong-jin. A documentary film crew travels to the Islan region of Thailand to follow a local shaman, Nim, played by Shawnee Utuma, who was chosen to be the vessel for an ancient spirit which protects a small community. In the opening moments, we find out Nim never wanted to be the shaman, but when her sister Noi, played by Sirani Yankititen, refused the role, it was Nim's responsibility to take up the mantle, as the role has been passed on through their family for generations. But Nim's niece Mink, played by Narilia Gulman Kulpek, begins showing physical signs that she may be ready to take on the responsibility, much to Noi's refusal to accept it. The documentary crew decides to follow Mink as well to document the process, but it turns out it might not be a noble spirit inhabiting Mink, but a different one that is extremely evil and deadly. Now it's up to Nim to use every mystic power she has to rid Mink of this invading evil. The Medium is a trek of a movie. Coming in at over 2 hours, I think a lot of people might not have the stamina to make it through the first hour, which spends a lot of time getting to know the characters, the culture, and the rules of this ancient world that resides alongside our own. But if you do nope out of The Medium, you'll miss one hell of a second half, as it manages to deliver one of the more original, exotic, and creative possession movies you're likely to see. That first hour is prep, giving you everything you need to know about the battle between Nim and the evil entity, and that battle is a potent one. There's a very natural feel to the way The Medium is presented. It starts out not necessarily found footage and is edited in a documentary format, so it's much more akin to Lake Mungo than Blair Witch. There's no shaky camera or first-person POV in this first hour. This feels like a real documentary, making the dangers that Nim faces much more effectively chilling. The cold, unblinking eye of the camera following this family around makes everything look legit and genuine. If you endure that steady but slow pace of the first hour, you're in for one of the more devastating and shocking last 45 minutes you're bound to see this year. Yes, things get a little shakier and Blair Witchy, but while these night cam and handheld scenes do have a lot of found footage aesthetic, that hour prep really works in pulling you into the story. And what a finale The Medium has. It's unpredictable, heartbreaking, and scary. The usual Christ compellings are nowhere to be found. Instead, you see shamanistic chants, bizarre rituals, and strange behavior. Everything culminates in some final scenes that are so shocking you won't believe what you're seeing. Reminiscent in some ways to The Wailing, another excellent international shocker with a slow beginning and a powerful end, The Medium is brave horror. It defies convention and taps into deep primal fears. No one is safe, and there are no guarantees everything is going to work out in the end. It's dangerous filmmaking, the kind of stuff Hollywood is too scared to touch. This is why I love international horror so much. It takes risks and taps into real, palpable horrors, and I guarantee you won't forget The Medium after watching. WEKUFE, The Origin of Evil, toured the festival circuit for a while before finally releasing in October of last year. Even after a second viewing, this film gets me, and it's a true standout in the found footage genre. It misses the main countdown by a skosh, mainly because it was made a few years ago and not in the past year, but still it's a potent one with a simple yet unflinching story. WEKUFE, The Origin of Evil, was released on October 1st, 2021. It's streaming on Tubi, and directed and written by Javier Attridge. WEKUFE, The Origin of Evil, is new on-demand and digital download on Amazon. It's directed and written by Javier Attridge. A pair of filmmakers, played by Paula Figueroa and Mateus Aldea, who use their real names in this film, head out to Chiloé, a remote Patagonia island in southern Chile, to delve into the connection between the high number of sex crimes in the area and local myths of a monster in the woods. This monster has been known by many names, and as Mateus tells us, many of the creatures from Lovecraft, Poe, and other masters of the macabre originate from the myths of Chile. As Paula and Mateus discuss the pros and cons of the found footage genre, they get closer and closer to uncovering the shocking truth behind the myth of the WEKUFE. The strongest aspect of WEKUFE, The Origin of Evil, is the acting. This is integral to carrying the entire film. Figueroa is mesmerizing as the lead reporter in this story. She's treating this as a legit news story and does a fantastic job talking to everyone from the people in the marketplace to the governor of the island. While she's absolutely ravishing, Paula's main likable trait is her determination to uncover the truth in many scenes where she becomes frustrated when her boyfriend, documentarian Mateus, tries to make this investigation more interesting with morbid facts, comical clowning, and an attempt at affection. There are times when Paula and Mateus are simply chatting and soaking in the Chilean habitat that are entrancing as the mystery itself. Both Aldea and Figueroa are great, but because she is in front of the camera for the bulk of the film, I definitely could see Figueroa becoming an international star with what she does here in the film. This is definitely footage that could pass as if it were really found, and that authenticity makes it more of a solid film. Is there a reason why they don't just drop the camera and get the hell out of there? Well, they're filming a documentary and soaking in the local flavor and never really knowing when something interesting can happen, so they keep the camera rolling. This also seems to be capturing special moments between Paula and Mateus as if they're treating it like a vacation. When things get dire, Mateus uses the camera as both a light source to see what's happening, and he is also still in full investigative mode, desperate to try to capture footage of the weirdness that's happening on the island. WEKUFE is a pretty even film. I was too into simply seeing Paula and Mateus act off of one another to be bored. There are ominous things peppered throughout as the two reporters get closer and closer to uncovering the mystery. These two also keep things fun because they themselves have seen a lot of found footage films. Mateus is an aspiring director and wants to make a found footage film someday. He's frustrated that Spielberg, Scorsese, and the like made their first films in their 20s, and becoming 30, he hasn't done that yet. In between the investigations, Mateus and Paula talk about the horrible cliches in found footage films, which makes for a fun meta-commentary on the genre itself. The payoff in the end is pretty powerful, specifically because one is so invested in the well-being of these two characters. I didn't want anything bad to happen because they were so likable, and because of this, the payoff, though it is quick, is quite satisfying. There is an up-nosed Blair Witch confessional in this movie, but it's done in jest. Paula tears up and puts the camera under her nose to mock the trope in these films. She also comments on how the shaky cam always gets her sick and how the monster is never actually shown at the end of the film. The inclusion of these little comments are what make this film all the more fun to watch because it mentions the problems of the genre and then veers from those expectations. This really is a well-paced mystery, with the situation growing dire by the moment. Though they might not completely realize it, there is danger all around these people as cops are following them, people are avoiding them on the street, and in one extremely creepy scene, masked street performers begin following them around menacingly. WEKUFE is a smart and tension-filled little found footager. The exotic Chilean locale makes it feel as if it has a higher budget than it most likely did. It not only serves as a cool travelogue of a faraway land, it also goes meta at times and comments on the very found footage subgenre of horror it occupies. And while the film points out the subgenre's faults, it also strays from expectations and leads to a shocking ending that is all the more powerful because the talent of the two actors in front of and behind the camera. As always, feel free to agree, disagree, or give me your own picks for your favorite horror movies. It's October, so let's talk horror. Come back tomorrow for the next level in the Best in Horror Countdown 2021 through 2022. Be sure to hit all of the pertinent bells and whistles down below, and you'll never miss a post. Happy Halloween, folks.